heat stim, we say, I want you to attend to the music. The activity gets reduced. The information in the brain is altered just by the fact that the subject is paying attention to something else. One of the most powerful things a physician can do with an individual is to get them to concentrate on something else. Get them to get out of their home. The worst thing for a patient with chronic pain is to sit at home and just think about their pain all the time. Get a friend, get out of the house, go do something, go to a movie. It makes an enormous difference. It depends on how much pain you expect to experience. If somebody tells you, boy, this is really going to hurt, it hurts. It hurts more. And you say, well, you know, that can't be. It doesn't make sense. It's the same stimulus. Well, here's an imaging study. Here's the amount of activity produced when you tell the subject, this is going to hurt. And you get some activity. Now use a warm stimulus. This was hot, this is warm. And you get next to nothing, little activity, but a blip here. Now you tell them, this is going to hurt, but you give them the warm stimulus. And you get more activity. The brain is prepared for these things. And the amount of activity is not where pain is, but it's contributing to the gestalt of whether or not and the magnitude of the experience. All of these things contribute. It's not just the intensity of the injury at all. And the problem, of course, is the physician who thinks they know how much pain you have. What are they paying attention to? Or your friends who don't believe you when you say it hurts? They're saying, gee, you know, you got a little boo-boo cut on your foot. Come on, stop complaining. They don't know what's going on in your brain. And it's a big problem because to the extent that you think you know how much pain they have, you'll end up being, your friends or the physician will under-medicate you. Happens all the time. Incredibly, this is unbelievable, new study. Imaging of the brain of an empathetic spouse. So you've got the husband sitting in the scanner and he's being, the wife thinks that the husband is experiencing some excruciating, painful stimulus. Imaging the brain, and you end up that the wife starts to manifest changes in her brain that are equivalent to those that the painful stimulus would produce in the husband. That's pretty freaky. The most bizarre and perhaps unfortunate thing is it doesn't work the other way. You put... Yeah. Excuse me? It's Herta Flor from Germany who published it. I don't remember the journal, but I can get it for you. All right? The question was he wanted the author of the study that did this. Okay? It's a hell of a study, let me tell you. They don't empathize is the answer. Is that a big surprise? No. What can we conclude? You cannot predict. And I'm talking to a physician here and to the friends of someone with a pain problem. You must never assume you know the magnitude of quality of somebody else's pain. You listen, you believe. If you don't believe them, just disappear. If a physician thinks the person is a crock, send him to someone else because you're going to be doing them a disservice. It happens all the time. People inevitably underestimate and people get under-medicated. I'll go on. Now I'm going to switch gears, and we've talked about some of the pain control procedures, and now I'm going to take you through some of the others. It won't take all that long, because we talked about the major one. But what I want to talk about is opiates in particular. Now, we talked about things that work locally. In other words, if you burn your hand, you know, you don't kick yourself in the foot, right? You do things on your hand. You rub your hand, you shake it. I talked about sort of localized acupuncture. It actually has a name, dermatomal acupuncture. And we believe it's an interaction of large and small fibers. Very straightforward. But there's something that is much more broad. It turns out the brain has internal pain control mechanisms, what we call endogenous pain control mechanisms. And there's a variety of ways to tap into them. Some of them you've heard of, like the endorphins. I'm going to talk about that. But I want to introduce it by telling you about a procedure that is still used, although albeit considerably less than when it was first discovered, called deep brain stimulation for pain. So this is only used for patients who really nothing is working and they can't take, morphine might work, but the side effects are intolerable. And so this is what you're left with and what is done, and it's based on work in animals, where here's an X-ray of an individual who had an electrode implanted in their brain. Now, the procedure is done while the subject is awake, the patient is awake, because you anesthetize the scalp and the dura, the covering of the brain. You open it up. The brain itself